Alright, so today we'll be talking about the New Rise second update. The Variable Gunner and the Forbidden Alchemist Arcana have just come out in Korea, so let's take a look at those. So we have all this information here about the characters and the skills. So let's find out what all of this actually says. So, New Rise, second update, Arcana R4. So, acquire new Arcana after reaching a cumulative level of 20,000 and completing the guide quest. And the new ones are Forbidden Alchemist and Variable Gunner. So next up we have the new characters. So acquire Forbidden Alchemist, encounter with Tasha. Upon achieving Grandmaster Battle Alchemist and Grandmaster Pharmacist, you can receive the acquisition quest Cursed Girl. Listen to the ghost story of a girl who comes to the Arcana Association. Raised by her alchemist mother, Tasha was more familiar with flasks than toys. To prevent Tasha from conducting reckless experiments, her mother would turn the experimental rules into ghost stories. For Tasha, who grew up, the world is a place full of scary rules and ghost stories. Tasha wants to protect herself in this fearful world. And then we have the Variable Gunner, encounter with Miel. Upon achieving Grandmaster Shooter and Grandmaster Alchemist, you can receive the acquisition quest, a shout followed by a pitch black gunshot. Begin your first encounter with the man who knocks on the door of the Arcana Association. So he's a public official, an introvert, an otaku, and an owl type. So Miel studied hard with the sole intention of getting a stable job and became a royal alchemist. The only pleasure in the ordinary and boring life of a civil servant is his after-work hobby, researching firearms. The dark circles under his eyes may never disappear from the night he spends building gun prototypes. But Miel's real life isn't about alchemy, it's about this. So, Forbidden Alchemist. This is a dealer and support position Arcana that combines the talent of medicine research and battle alchemy. So it looks like there are 6 skills that come with this Arcana, the Forbidden Alchemist. And let's take a look at what those are. So here we'll look at the skills, and this is what it translates to. So Elemental Combination. You can customize effects by combining attribute crystals and herbs. Each skill can have a different recipe, and the skill effects that are enhanced will vary depending on the attribute crystals and herbs used in the recipe. So after selecting the skill you want to customize, set the combination formula by adding the attribute crystals and herbs. So this is kind of cool. I like the art style that they chose for like the herbs on the interface for this. This looks pretty cool. Like here's mana herbs, bloody herbs, sunlight herbs, base herbs, and then mandrake herbs. Consider which attribute would be most beneficial to this skill. So Mana Herbs amplifies the effects of Water Alchemy. Bloody Herbs amplifies the effects of Fire Alchemy. Sunlight Herbs amplifies the effects of Wind Alchemy. And Base Herbs amplifies the effects of Earth Alchemy. And Mandrake Herbs amplifies all alchemy effects. So next we have Catalyst Synergy. Forge catalysts and launch them into battle. Strategically control the flow of battle by strengthening allies or weakening enemies. How to use. Preset the effects you want to grant your Catalyst Synergy with elemental combinations. When you combine and throw a catalyst, the preset effect is applied to the battlefield. And you can see what that looks like here. So there's a circle, then you do the skill. And then next we have Elemental Infusion. You can consume alchemy attribute energy to strengthen yourself for a certain period of time. Depending on the selected attribute, different buff effects are granted. So for water, increases water alchemy damage and applies raincasting effect. For fire, increased fire alchemy damage, added heat buster pressure. For wind, increased wind alchemy damage and movement speed. And for soil or earth, increased earth alchemy damage, increased damage reduction rate. Summon Nightmare. Only those who have reached the pinnacle of alchemy can welcome the legendary Ouroboros. Consumes all attribute energy at once and releases it in the form of an Ouroboros. How to use. Affected by the damage and duration of the Flamer skill. That might be the Flamethrower skill. The damage and debuff effects received by enemies vary depending on the type, and the amount of attribute energy consumed when casting a skill. And then you can see what that looks like right here. And next is Chemical Carnival. Throw a vial containing a combination of attribute crystals and herbs at an enemy, dealing powerful explosive damage to the enemy and its surroundings. How to use. It is affected by skill damage of the Heat Buster skill. Skill range and damage vary depending on the combination formula set with the Elemental Combination skill. And we can see what that looks like right here. So you can see that the character is throwing something, like a vial, over to the enemies. Spiral Eruption. Transform the ground into sharp rocks to attack your enemies and reshape the battlefield to your advantage. You can attack enemies while pulling them to one point. So how to use. Clicking on a desired location will attack all enemies in that location and then pull them toward the center. Affected by the damage of the Water Cannon skill. The skill effect changes depending on the Elemental Combination recipe. And we can see what that looks like right here. And how all the enemies are like far apart and then they're being moved closer and closer together. And also you can see the different link stages for Forbidden Alchemist right here. When you unlock the different links using your Scorching Crests. So there's all 10. And next, let's look at Variable Gunner. This is a ranged dealer position Arcana that combines the shooter talent with the alchemy talent. So first we have rapid fire. Fire magic bullets in rapid succession with a special firearm featuring a rotating multi-barrel structure made with alchemy. Numerous magical projectiles fired rapidly from rotating shooting barrels scorch the battlefield. So how to use? When clicked, fires a gun in the direction the mouse cursor is pointing. The attack will continue while you hold down the mouse button, and the direction will change when you move your cursor, affected by the damage of Bullet Storm. So yeah, if you hold down the mouse button and you move your cursor from like side to side, you'll shoot the enemies just like this. And next we have heavy artillery. Drop powerful magic bullets on your target location to set the battlefield and your enemies ablaze. Fires a magic bullet at the target location and causes an explosion. Deals area damage to enemies within range. So how to use? When you set a target location, it deals damage to enemies within a circular range centered on the set location, affected by the damage of the Crossbuster skill. And we can see what that looks like right here. Devastation Cannon. Detonate a magic bullet from a cylindrical special weapon to fire a powerful energy blast. Conjures a large hand cannon to attack all enemies in a straight line in front of the caster. How to use? You can adjust the firing direction by moving the mouse cursor, affected by the damage of the shooting rush skill. And then we can see what that looks like right here. So next is Fatal Scope. No enemy can escape the sharp sniping from beyond the scope of Variable Gunner. Identify the enemy's weak points with a high precision aiming device and strike them with precision. How to use? When attempting to shoot, the aiming UI will open. Clicking while in aiming mode will fire. The aiming rate increases as the circle in aiming mode gets smaller, affected by the damage of faraway skills. So you can see what that looks like right here. This one looks pretty cool. And next is Shooter's Eye. Amplify the accuracy and destructive power of your attacks with a device that guides your magic bullets. Attack enemies by shooting a magic bullet guidance device, and enemies hit by this become vulnerable to attacks from the Variable Gunner. So how to use? The following effects are applied to enemies attacked by the Shooter's Eye skill. Increased aiming speed when aiming with Fatal Scope. Additional damage applied when the effect application time ends. And we can see what that looks like right here. So you can see in the second part that the aiming speed with the scope is a lot faster. Transmute Zone installs an area that strengthens the skills of Variable Gunner in the designated location for a certain period of time. So the skills: Rapid Fire. When attacking over an area, enemies within the area are gradually pulled in. And for heavy artillery, attacks additionally for the installed area. Overlapping areas increase damage. For devastation cannon, when attacking over an area, all enemies within the area are attacked simultaneously. Overlapping areas deal increased damage for that one as well. And then Fatal Scope, increased aiming speed when the target is within the area. So these effects happen when like the enemies are in that circle, in those circles. When that happens, you get these strengthening effects for these skills. And last, we'll be looking at Payload Shift. Maximize the power of your ordinary dual guns with advanced alchemy applications. Utilizes the energy of alchemy to enhance the attacks of the dual gun. The power of normal attacks using dual guns is strengthened, and the range of normal dual guns skills is increased. So how to use? Casting a skill grants a status effect that increases the range and normal attack power of the dual gun's basic skills. As your rank increases, you'll gain additional fusion energy each time you use the dual gun basic skill. And we can see that here. And last, let's look at the variable gunner link opening effects. So, as you unlock each stage, each of the 10 stages with your Scorching Crests, you'll get these benefits. So this shows off some of the skills. Oh, they even have the skill names up there, that's nice. And here you can see some of the variable gunner skills. And that's the character story that we'll play through when these come out.